Beautiful, wonderful. Welcome everyone to our May 2nd session of Women in Business, monthly growth session. So, hi, I'm Holly. Who am I? I am a business owner. I am a mom. I am a speaker. I am a podcast host. I am the founder of Nova Ridge Bookkeeping. I founded Nova Ridge Bookkeeping about 5 years ago, actually over 5 years ago now, with a passion to help business owners with their bookkeeping needs. Little did I know the path that life would take me, and as things evolved over the years, I have happily found my place in supporting women in business to finally feel in control of their finances. And I say we do that through helping them clean out their shoe boxes. If anybody knows, you like stuff your shoebox, your receipts in a shoebox and then stuff them in a corner somewhere and forget about it. So that's what we help people not do. So what is Women in Business monthly growth session? So this session came from a desire to support women in business even more. Working directly with clients, I discovered that while being good at what they do and now having their financials in order, it really was just a couple of pieces of the puzzle to creating a successful and sustainable business. I have connected with some fantastic professionals over the past few years. And I say that because every single one of my guest speakers that I have is someone that I know, someone that I've connected with, built a relationship, know, like, and trust them. So I knew that if I could bring us all together in one place, we could create awesome synergy to elevate our businesses to the next level. And my vision for this monthly growth session is to come together, learn together, and then grow together. So it's time. We are about to dive in. Grab a drink, grab your pen. Don't forget your notebook. As I say every month, I always take lots of notes during these sessions. So even though I know every single speaker that I have on here, there's still information that I'm learning from all of them. It's so interesting. Just like when you read a book, you could read the same book every year for 10 years and you pull different tidbits of information from it. So these speakers I know personally, and I know what they're about to speak on, and I still learn something new from them. So don't forget your notebook. Today's speakers, we have Janice Baskin. She's going to talk about the Edmonton Initiative community. And while she is talking about the Edmonton Initiative community, innovation, same thing. Let's go with it. This is information that will be so valuable no matter where you're located in Canada. So don't think because you're hearing the word Edmonton that we're focusing on Edmonton. Take this information. Trust me, Janice has a lot of valuable information that you can utilize no matter where you live in Canada. And then Crystal Kelly from Amani Financial, she is going to talk about retirement planning for business owners. As we all know, if you own your own business, planning for retirement is something that we kind of have to do ourselves because we don't have a company RRSP or retirement plan. So I'm excited for both of these speakers today. And in the spirit of networking, we are going to hop into our first breakout room. In this breakout room, I invite you to share your name, your business name, and then our topic of conversation is how do clients typically find you? So I think it's interesting, a good conversation piece to have before we hear about networking and how valuable networking can be. Are you able to chat with others and maybe get a couple ideas of how you could find clients? We are going to go into our first speaker presentation. So I am going to introduce Janice. Janice and I met probably 5 years ago, like for the first time. So I'm excited to hear her speak. I've heard her speak many times, and I'm excited to hear what is going on with Janice now. So let me take a moment to introduce her. In 2012, Janice Baskin embarked on her entrepreneurial journey as co-owner of Camelot Interiors. Through the years, she learned the ropes of business management and customer relations, striving to provide top-notch service in custom blinds and window coverings. Alongside her husband, Janice contributed to Camelot's success, all while nurturing her passion for networking and community engagement. recently transitioning to manage the Edmonton Regional Innovation Network. Janice brings with her a blend of experiences and lessons learned. Her journey from running a small business to leading a community initiative is humbling, reminding her of the importance of continuous learning and growth. In her new role, Janice remains committed to supporting entrepreneurs and fostering innovation in Edmonton. She recognizes that true success is not achieved alone, but through collaboration and mutual support. With a dedication to serving others, Janice navigates the challenges and opportunities of her role, always mindful of the impact she can make within the community. Over the past 15 years, Janice has also been an active speaker and facilitator, sharing insights on the power of building relationships in business on regional and national stages. Her experience has allowed her to connect with audience from various backgrounds, further reinforcing her belief in the transformation power of genuine connections. Janice, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Holly. That was, well, I wrote that, so it was wonderful.
It was great.
It's always kind of a little strange, right? When you're like, oh, I wrote my own bio. And then it sounds so nice when someone else reads it. You kind of wish someone else wrote it.
Right? I'm
Fantastic.
going to stop sharing my screen. So if you have slides, please feel free.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest, I struggle with slides and Zoom. And the reason is because I know that from a participant level, that sometimes when those slides go up, my brain goes, and then maybe my phone goes into my hand or other things start distracting me. And so I decided today that I would come and speak with you, just me, no, tech, as it were, or enhancements. I'm certainly open to any questions that you have, based on my experience. And Holly touched on this in the introduction. And I'm going to set a timer because otherwise I will talk forever. I could talk about this kind of stuff all day long. There we go. Okay. So I started my entrepreneurial journey owning a custom blinds and shades business. And a few years ago, about 8 years ago, we had this moment where we realized all of our eggs were in one basket. And that basket was picked up by another little bunny who ran away with it. And we went, crap. And so when we sat down and we looked at where were our clients coming from, where were we getting our best people who were coming, who were, they were actually buying our product, they were loving our customer service, and they were promoting us amongst other people, the answer to that was word of mouth. And referrals turned out to be our number one way that we were acquiring, and the number one way that we were actually converting those customers. And so when as a business owner, you look at all of those things that you can do to market yourself, we really saw that word of mouth, that networking piece to be the number one priority, which would then help funnel us down into all the other things that we're doing, like social media, like our website, anything like that also gives you additional visibility. We were so successful in that arena. We did well over $1 million of revenue in 5 years, using that as our sole, well, not our sole, but our main way that we were bringing people into when we talk about sales funnels, into that funnel. And so what that did was it actually allowed me to come to a place in the business where we are starting to let other people run it for us. My husband would like to take on some semi-retirement. And so when I went looking for what's next for me, I knew that I needed to continue to be involved with entrepreneurs. I knew that I wanted to continue to be able to give back to the community. And I knew that I needed purpose, because folks, installing blinds for the last 12 years did not feed my why. And so I knew that I was going to need that moving forward. And so I started just looking around for what was out there. I put a little note on my LinkedIn, like, send me any jobs that are, have keywords like networking or speaking and that kind of thing. And lo and behold, this job posting comes up on LinkedIn. for the Edmonton Regional Innovation Network. And I was like, I have no idea what this is, but it has the word network in it. So let's throw in a resume and see what happens. So I'm the manager of the Edmonton Regional Innovation Network. I am a consultant. So I am hired on as a contractor to come in and manage. And now this is where it gets tricky. I manage a coalition of organizations that help to serve innovation in Edmonton. Now, something that Jillian and I talked about in our breakout room is that the word innovation, what do we all think when we hear innovation? What's the first thing that pops in your mind? New, tech, yes. Progress, growth. Oh, I love that. Okay, fantastic. So, and this is why entrepreneurs are so amazing, because we all have our own way of looking at how we define this word. And even within the innovation network, I said to Jillian, you can ask 100 people and 100 people will give you a different definition of what innovation means. But what I realized very early on into this role was that not many people in the non-tech world knew that this is a resource that is out there to help them. Because a lot of times when we think innovation, we think tech. But there are many ways that you can innovate, especially within your business, right? If you are enacting change or you're looking to solve a problem where you see a gap for your business, maybe it impacts other people in the entrepreneurial community, you are innovating, right? And so what we do at the ERIN is a number of things, but essentially, if you think about it in terms of, a lovely flow chart, we have Alberta Innovates at the top. And so Alberta Innovates has a pool of money that they say, we want to put this out into all the regions in Alberta to ensure that the people within those communities are getting the supports that they need in order to grow their business and to be successful. Now, Alberta Innovates has a little bit narrower definition of the word innovation. They focus very heavily on tech. They do have some social innovation and a little bit in health innovation and things like that embedded into their programming. But what they do is essentially give that money to us, and they say, hello, we want you to take this out into Edmonton, let people know that you're here, and make it available so that people can be supported in their business. Now, I have to provide a caveat for that. This is not funding. The funding that I have is not for venture development, meaning it's not to develop your own business. So if you have a problem that you're looking to solve in your business and you have an idea for an app that can do that, or an app that maybe can help solve a bigger problem within your industry, there's funding for that. It's just not through me. What we fund are initiatives through the community. So if you wanted to bring together a community of people where you would be providing maybe a connection or collisions or programming that is going to fill a gap where there is not currently programming, we have dollars available for that. So let's say, for example, grant writing is a big thing in when you're doing this business development. And a lot of people know there's money out there, but they don't know how to access it and they don't know how to write a grant. So if you and an organization and a few other groups of people wanted to come together and say, we're going to put together a workshop for grant writing for women in business, we always look to sort of fill those gaps and spaces where people are being underserved. We've come together as a collaborative partnership. That is something that we could look at funding. So I have gone over that very quickly, and it can get a little bit complicated. So I'm always open to spending time with people to try to understand, how I can help, at the very least, refer out to other places where you may be able to get those supports. So the other thing we do have is a membership program. It's 100% free. It's open to anybody who would like to network or learn more about innovation. And so you're more than welcome. I'll put the website in the chat a little bit later. But the last thing I wanted to leave you with, I have about 2.5 minutes left, is I actually wanted to talk about networking in general, because I think it is something that we hear this word and we're like, yes, network, let's network, but we don't really know what it means, or we know we have a concept of it, but we're not sure how to be successful. And I make it my mission to tell people that building relationships with people is an evergreen way to market your business. When you take the time to build a relationship with somebody, and Holly said it earlier, that know, like, and trust, it is there forever until that trust, maybe gets broken. But Holly and I haven't spoken in, I don't know, a year or more. But I was still top of mind because we have that relationship with one another. And I could talk about this, like I said, for like an hour. But what I'm going to bring it down to is 3 important factors. Number 1, give. So what I mean by that is that when you go to an event, you're in a room like this, you're in an in-person meeting, and you're meeting people and you're like, it's so awkward. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Look for ways that you can provide value to that person. And the way that you do that is just by asking them questions like, what are you struggling with? Or, did you see this thing? Maybe you know a little bit about their industry. Like, oh, I heard this is going on. Like, how are you managing that? And then that way you can look for ways that you go, you know what, I think I could connect you with somebody who could help with that. Or I heard a podcast, or I was at this workshop and these are the things that I learned. So you want to look for ways to give value, because that makes that other person go, whoa, like, who is this person? They're like, wow, that's so nice. Thank you so much. And any of you who have experienced that, that feeling, right? The second piece is follow-up. So you can't build a relationship on 5 minutes in a breakout room with someone. So you want to follow up with them. You want to send them a message. Make sure you're asking people when you leave here today, how do I connect with you? Because not everyone has Instagram and not everyone has this, or, right? So you want to know, how do I connect with you? Follow up with that person. It was nice to meet you. These are simple things, but they take time. And sometimes we get that stack of business cards and we go, oh my God, I don't have time for all this. So whenever you can, just reaching out to say, it was great to meet you. If you felt like there was synergy or there was a place to take that relationship further, that would be the time to say, could we meet up? Now, you don't have to meet with everybody that you meet. You don't have to go and book 10 coffees over the next 10 weeks, because that's time consuming. Really curating the people that you meet so that you can say, I think that you and I, whether you can give them value or you feel like there's something that you can collaborate on, those are the people that you would prioritize to follow up. The last thing I'll say, and the third piece, is give. So the biggest mistake that people make is that they go to follow up with somebody, and that's where they try to hook you. That's the time to sell. Here's the program I have. Here's what I'm selling. Here's why I'm so amazing. I know it seems counterintuitive, but once again, hey, this is the conversation we were having and you mentioned this. I want to learn more about that. How can I help you? And it's not, hey, I have this really great program that you could pay $1,000 for that's going to help you. And maybe you get there one day. But believe me, if you start off with giving, you work to follow up and just build a relationship with them. And at that point, they're going to go, what's coming? Is there a sales pitch coming? You're going to knock them off their feet when you follow up, and all you want to do is continue to give. That is the way that you build your credibility. And when you start from that direction, it's going to take things in a whole nother level in your relationship building and marketing for your business. So like I said, I could talk about this forever. I am available. I would love to. I'll put a link in the chat so that you can connect with me. But that's 12 minutes. I apologize, Holly. So I'll stop there.
That was wonderful, Janice. Thank you so much. I'm going to put Janice's contact information in the chat. So please make sure, there it is. So please make sure you take down that information. And if you feel like it's a fit, reach out to her. She's always happy to chat and connect. I love your tips. Give, follow up, and give. Because we all know what it's like to be sold to from a
I have
complete
been
stranger.
in a lot of very uncomfortable conversations over the last 5 years where I'm like, I just want to leave.
Right. We have a few minutes, so we have 2 or 3 minutes left for Q&A. So if you have a question for Janice, please unmute yourself. And if you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. You can pop it in the chat and I can read it out too. So there's a couple of questions that I have, Janice. So how important, and I know the answer to this because I know you, but how important has networking been to your personal growth?
Oh gosh, great question. Yes. So like I said before, I've always been the type of person that needed to have purpose, that needed to feel like I was making some kind of a difference. And hanging blinds, while I actually really like the crossing off of tasks, it wasn't fulfilling that need for purpose for me. And so what happened was, as I started to get into this whole thing of networking, I started to really learn that there was tremendous connection that could be made. And the more people I met, the more opportunity I was given to grow personally. And the more I kind of put myself out there, the more people just helped me to elevate myself. And it did so much for my self-esteem and so much for my confidence as a business person that it's invaluable. And so I gave you that big revenue number, which was wonderful. And I'm not going to say I would trade it, but I will say that it has certainly been enhanced by, it's taken my life in a completely different direction. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good answer. And that's true. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another question. Can you share an example or two of what lessons you've learned? Because, we haven't learned enough lessons in our life in regards to innovation through your time running your own small business.
Oh boy. So Char's going to laugh at this because she knows my husband and I. So I work with my husband, and he's an old dog who self-admittedly never wants to learn a new trick in his life. And so a lot of our conversations around evolving our business has been me pushing to be like, we need to, bring in some of these solutions that will make our life easier, better, make the business more scalable, sellable, all of those things. And a lot of him was like that, pushing back on me. And so the big lesson I learned is that sometimes you get really excited about an idea or a thought or something that you come across, and it seems like, yes, this is going to take my business to the next level. And it's important to have somebody who goes, well, why? And what about this? And if this is working, why would we? And it doesn't mean to say that you don't do some of those things, but it's also keeps you on an even keel in terms of, because you could explore all kinds of innovations for your business. But having somebody to have that conversation with about, does this meet where we want to be? Is this align with our goals? How is this going to help us? All of those things is very important. So like a lesson that honestly, I would suggest not everyone will work with a partner, but if you can have a colleague or a mentor or somebody that you can just bounce those things off is so important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm more of the dreamer and he's more of the analytical. And it's very interesting. Same dynamic in our offices, like, oh, but we should do this and this and this. And he's like, okay, but why? Thank you so much, Janice. I made lots of notes. I am excited to implement some of these changes and shifts for myself and my own mindset. So I'm sure if I took this many notes, lots of people in the room also took valuable information. So thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Char has a question.
Hi, hey Janice, hey everyone. So I'm new to this group. Thanks for having me, and I saw it posted on Janice's story. So thank you, Janice, for posting it and welcoming me. So my question, I guess, is so I'm not that familiar with where you work now, Janice, and the grants that are available for entrepreneurs. But recently I had gone through the CDAP, which is the Canadian Digital Adoption Program grant, and I went through that. Is there similar grants within your realm of business that would be applicable to what I do then? Or maybe that's too broad, maybe you can't answer that, but.
Yeah, so not in terms of like ERIN specific funding, because like I said, that is for it's earmarked for community initiatives. We have someone else in the room actually who might even be better to answer this question, and it's Jill McLaren. Jill is with the TELUS CSW Accelerator, and so they do a lot of programming, and she would probably have answers on what other kind of funds are available out there for business development. It would still need to have an innovative sort of spin to it. I do know that Alberta Women Entrepreneurs also has a pool of funds. It's not a grant. I believe it is a non-interest loan.
I think you're right.
But so there are supports and things like that out there for sure. Yeah, and I can get more information on that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, I'll make sure you're in a breakout room with Jill for our last breakout room.
Thanks.
And then you can chat with her. Lamia, do you have a question?
Yes. Well, I'm new to all these networking things. I've always worked behind the computer. What would be your advice to someone who is an introverted? I've been going to all these events, but it's very hard for me to approach people. Like I just stay in the back, and like, what would be your advice to someone who's just starting this?
I love this question because, believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert. I struggle to walk, which has been a really big challenge these last couple of months, because if I go into a room where I don't know anybody, it's really hard for me to sort of work my way into a conversation. The couple of tips that I would give is, number one, to buddy up, bring someone with you. Don't intend on spending all your time with that person, but it just gives you that sort of comfort level of walking into a space where at least you know somebody, and that feels safe, right? And then if it's not working out, you can always go back to that person. The other thing I will say is be kind to yourself with your time. Introverts are very drained by large events and things like that. And so often you will go into a space and it'll feel very overwhelming, even just the noise level. And so saying to yourself, I'm not going to stay for the whole 2 hours, or I want to make 2 really good connections. And once I've done that, I'm going to allow myself the space to leave, right? Because you have to, because if you go and you're like, yes, I'm going to do this, and you're there for all the hours and then all the noise and the people, and you're meeting all these people, you'll never go back because you'll be so exhausted by the end of it. And I encourage people, if they're hosting events, to have a way to allow space for people. So I was actually at an event that Jill hosted a while ago, and I don't even know if she did this on purpose, but the space had a room off to the side that had couches, and it was glassed off, and it was quiet, and you had access to it. At one point, my brain was just whirling around, and I was starting to feel very overwhelmed, and I just went and sat in there for 5 minutes, took a couple of deep breaths, and then I felt better. So if whatever event you're at doesn't have that space, trying to find somewhere, maybe you just step outside for a few minutes, right? We don't smoke anymore, but maybe there's like a way to go outside and hang out for 5 minutes just to catch your breath. Does that help?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's so helpful. Thank you, Janice. Okay, we are going to pop into our second speaker presentation. So Crystal Kelly is a certified financial planner with 17 years of experience in the financial services industry. The primary mission of her independent financial planning practice, Amani Financial, is to guide women to financial independence so that they can break the cycle of financial chaos and bring peace of mind to their lives. Crystal, I'm so excited to have you on today. I recently met Crystal Through networking, yes, we can say that through networking. And then I went to one of her webinars a couple of weeks ago. So I'm excited to hear from her again, learn a little bit about retirement planning. Crystal, welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Holly. I appreciate you inviting me to your group. I'm so excited to meet you all. I, unlike Janice, am going to bore you with slides. Hopefully you don't fall asleep, but I'm just going to pull that up. And today I'm going to talk about retirement planning for business owners. Can you see that okay?
No, we can't see.
Can't see you, so I need a verbal.
No,
Oh, you can't. Okay.
we cannot see it.
Okay, give me 1 second.
I noticed that, Jill. We'll make small talk. There's 3 Jills here today. Oh.
Oh wow, 3 Jills.
And Jill McLaren and then Jill McLean. So like
Yeah.
right. Complicating it further.
Crystal,
How
we can
about
see this
now?
Mhm. Yep.
Still can't see it?
No, we can see it.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Yay.
we can. You're good.
Yay. Amazing. Awesome. Okay, so retirement planning for business owners, there's tons of overlap when it comes to retirement planning as a business owner versus just as an individual or an employee, but there are also some differences. Like Holly said at the beginning, you don't have that employer matching program with the group RSP, but also as a business owner, you have access to things that employees don't, which is the ability to create your own individual pension plan, for example, or invest in your corporation. So let's kind of look at some of those things. But first, what even is retirement planning? I think it's changed a lot over the years. It used to be, okay, retire at 65, sit on the beach, be on the golf course, I'm done, right? That's when I'm done work. I've noticed with my clients, it's changing. It's really more about getting to a point where I have the freedom of choice on how I spend my time. Not necessarily that I just completely stop working. A lot of people want to do, start a retirement business. Some want to do teaching or academia work. Some want to do advocacy work. Usually we have nowadays that point in time where we want to do something else that we've always dreamed of doing. So rather than call it retirement, I call it freedom of choice age. And I encourage you to get excited about planning this. We kind of think of it as this obscure thing that's going to happen one day, but we don't spend a lot of time planning it. So get creative, dream big, and figure out, like Jenna said, what your why is. So now we think about the how. So there's really 2 phases when you think about retirement planning. The first phase is the accumulation phase. And so this is where you're earning income, you're saving, you're accumulating your retirement assets. And so first you need to figure out what that age is. And sometimes we don't know. So you just got to start with, 60, 65, whatever age you want to start with, and it will adjust as you go. But at least having some sort of target that you're working toward, and then also gaining some clarity on what you want your lifestyle to be, because that will determine how much you need in retirement. So what is your income going to be and what will your expenses be? Do you have any assets that you're going to sell in retirement? So are you going to downsize your home and sell your principal residence, for example? And survivor lifestyle expenses, this is a big one that people often forget. So if you're in a partnership, what happens if something happens to one of you and you're unable to continue saving like you originally were for your retirement? That can have a huge long-term impact on your ability to retire. What's your life expectancy? Fun fact, for probably most of us in this room based on our ages, your expected life span is 92 to 93, just so you know. Debt repayment plan. So how are you going to make sure that all your debt's paid off before you retire, your mortgage, etc.? And then is your current savings plan relative or in line with your actual goals? The second phase of retirement planning is decumulation. So, when you're a few years out, you're checking in to see, am I actually ready So I've worked all this time, I've done all my planning for accumulation. Now, am I actually ready? Can I retire in 2 years, 3 years, whatever you originally planned to do? And then what are some potential long-term care needs, especially healthcare costs, things like that. Income splitting strategies in a partnership. So how do you maximize that? Tax efficiency in retirement, CPP and OAS. So, how do I ensure while I'm accumulating, plan for that? So if CPP is going to be a part of your retirement income, how do you make sure you do that and pay yourself properly? So for example, I personally pay myself the maximum YNP, which is about $68,000 as T4 income, which maximizes my CPP contributions. And then over and above that, I pay myself dividend income to create tax efficiency. But is CPP part of your retirement income or is it not? Asset sale that might occur during your retirement, and then of course, survivor benefits. So the next part is the 3 considerations. So there's the sort of 2 phases. Now let's break that down a little bit more into these 3 phases. So different sections that you need to consider. The first is, which employees don't have to consider, is exit or succession planning with your business. So figuring out, is my business a lifestyle business where really all I'm trying to do, not all, but what I'm trying to do is fund my life, pay for my income, save and invest, other things I want to do, but I'm not really interested in growing this huge business that I want to sell one day. It's more of a lifestyle business. But if you are planning on selling your business one day, you need to plan that out. And how are you going to make decisions today that are going to make your business saleable and very attractive to purchase for somebody? So there's a stat here, 76% of small business owners are planning to leave their business, but only 9% have a formal business succession plan in place. And so it's important to start preparing, and so many different things can happen, right? Different opportunities can come up that you didn't plan for. So it's not about planning it perfectly and having to follow that. It's just having some idea of what I can do today to ensure future me will thank me for that. The second piece is funding your retirement. So how am I actually going to fund my retirement? How am I going to save and invest today to ensure that I have enough in retirement? And there are a bunch of different accounts, which I'm going to go into on the next slide, that you can utilize, vehicles you can utilize to do that. The third is income sources in retirement. So dividends from the business, like maybe when you retire, you're not necessarily 100% leaving the business. Maybe you have a new owner coming in and it's a 5-year phase out, and you're going to continue to receive dividends during that time. Maybe you're actually going to work part-time in in retirement. So you might have employment income. Government benefits like CPP and OAS, individual pension plans, personal retirement accounts like your RSP, TFSA. So really figuring out what those sources of income are going to be in retirement and how to create tax efficiency. So types of accounts. So RSP is a personal account. The best use of RSP is contributing to it in your highest income earning years when you're in the highest tax bracket, because you get that tax deduction on your contributions. It then grows tax deferred while it's invested. And then when you start withdrawing income, you pay income tax on those withdrawals. And so if you're contributing when you're in a low tax bracket and withdrawing when you're in a high tax bracket, the math is not mathing. You want to make sure you're contributing when you're in a high tax bracket, withdrawing when you're in a lower tax bracket later on. TFSA or tax-free savings account, you don't have that deduction when you contribute to it. However, all of the growth on the investments are tax-free, and all withdrawals are tax-free as well. It's probably one of the most powerful long-term investing tools that exists, which I wish they didn't call it savings account, because a lot of people treat it like a savings account. Really, you're missing the opportunity if you're not using it as a long-term high growth investment account. IPP is an individual pension plan. So this is actually, as a business owner, pension plan that you can create within your corporation. It has a defined benefit that you can set up for yourself, and the contributions that your corporation makes to the IPP are tax deductible. The investments grow tax deferred, and then you have guaranteed income in retirement. Most people don't even know this exists, but it's a fantastic tool. Non-registered is just an open cash investment. And so you're writing a check, you're making an investment in cash, so it's not in any registered or tax deferred account. And then corporate as well. So you can actually invest into a number of different things within your corporation. And so, you know, obviously the benefit to that is you're not having to withdraw income first and paying tax on that and then investing. You can actually just invest within your corporation. Now be careful, the capital gains inclusion rate just increased to 66.67%, up from 50. So you need to plan that out properly, but it is a fantastic tool to defer tax essentially and continue to fund your retirement. Now, RCA is a retirement compensation arrangement. It's another type of vehicle within a corporation that you can use to fund your retirement, save for your retirement. So this is a little more complex, it's a little more costly, but there's no limits. So this is a fantastic tool for high income earners because there's no specific maximums that can be contributed, such as like an RSP or an IPP. So there's lots of tools out there as corporations and as business owners we have that a lot of people don't have access to. So what's the magic number? How do you know how much you're supposed to save and invest, and how much do you need in retirement? So you need to think about your current lifestyle expenses. Now, this is not a flat rate for everyone, but a good sort of rule of thumb is 75 to 80% of your current income or your income during your working years is what you will need in retirement. And then life expectancy. So how long do you actually think you'll live? Do you have any health conditions? What about your family? How long do they typically live? So, and then estate planning considerations as well. So ensuring, you know, that you're considering taxes that you'll have to pay, that sort of thing. So calculator.net, write this down and save it because it's such a fantastic tool. Anything that you want to calculate, you can go calculate. So you can figure out on your own how much you need to save and invest for retirement using this tool. So you put your current age, your planned retirement age, your life expectancy, and your current income, all of those things. 80%, like I said, for income needed after retirement is a good rule, but yours might be different, right? It depends on your lifestyle in retirement. If you're going to go on first class extravagant trips every year, maybe yours should be 110%. But you can actually calculate how much you need to save and how much you'll be short based on your current savings rate. So it's a good tool to save. Now, coming to the end, if you've planned properly, this is what it looks like. This is beautiful to me. This gets me excited. So there's no red at the end. If you didn't plan properly, you will have red at the end. So you can see at the bottom on the legend, it says lifestyle deficiencies is the red. There's no red on this one because we've planned properly. So this is one of my clients. And so the first section is her accumulation phase. That's the green. That's when she's earning income. She's self-employed as well. And the dark green on the bottom is all of the income that is allocated to expenses, to saving and investing, to her vacations, to, you know, savings to purchase a car, all of those things. The light green over the line is the surplus cash flow. So she's got a little bit of wiggle room just in case. Now at 65, you can see she retires, and the gray at the bottom is government benefits, so CPP and OAS. The light blue is her retirement investment. So these are her RSP. And the dark blue is cash investments that she's making within her corporation. So these are non-registered investments that she'll withdraw from. And then it's taking into consideration an increase in income need for to match inflation. And you can see this gets her right out to age 100. So ultimately, if you plan properly, this is what it should look like. I don't know what my time's like, but that's it.
That's so great.
Guys,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Chris, that was amazing. I am going to pop in the group chat right now all of your contact information. So please take a moment and write it down. Connect with Crystal afterwards. So helpful. Does anybody have any questions? Just unmute yourself again. We have a couple of minutes left for questions. I know, living to 92, that's shocking to me too. Like that's the average life expect, and we retire at 65. Like that's still a lot of years.
It is.
have
I
a
think people
question.
don't realize how many years you have to have income for in retirement. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma lived to be 106, so they all live very long in my family, so I have to plan accordingly. I have a question. So what is the maximum contribution to TFSA account?
so the annual this year is 7,000, but your total contribution room will depend on how much you contributed since it first started in 2009. So
Right.
it accumulates. So every year it's been kind of different. They've changed the contribution room. So I think it's about 95,000 total room if you've never contributed and you were 18 in 2009 or older. But it depends how much you've contributed. But if you fully maxed it out, it's 7,000 per year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fantastic.
I have a question, Holly. Sorry, or you could put me in a room with Crystal.
Go ahead. Ask your question.
So the IP. So I've been a business owner for a very long time, and like I said, we're sort of in the process of not exiting fully. We're gonna do a sort of hire your buyer kind of thing, but why is this not something people know about? Is it complicated? Do you need like some sort of complicated corporate structure? Like why? I've never heard of this.
No, it's not complicated. I would say the retirement compensation arrangement is a little more complicated and costly, but the individual pension plan really isn't. It is newer. I don't know the year that it came out, but so I've been in the financial industry since 2007. So how long is that? 17 years. I didn't start really hearing people talk about actually implementing it probably, like 10 years ago. And so I think a lot of advisors or people making recommendations to business owners don't even really know about it and aren't fully educated on it. And so it was something that, I definitely want to let people know about because it's actually not, there are some administrative burdens, right? Because you have to sort of manage it. But if you're good with that, it's not super costly. It's more costly than a group RSP. So you could also create a group RSP within your corporation. That is the easiest, least costly option. However, the individual pension plan, the RSP has a limitation, right? You only have so much contribution room and it's 18% of your income, whereas the IPP has a much higher limitation. And so if you have maxed out your RSP and you need additional savings, you would use an IPP. So there is a little bit more cost and a little bit more complexity, but it's not that complex.
Fascinating. I said in the chat, but I have literally listened to a dozen financial planning presentations over the last, I don't know, couple of years, and you brought up things nobody has ever mentioned. Mm-hmm. Yay!
That's what we're celebrating.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, we are going to quickly pop into our last breakout room. I believe my screen is sharing now. In this breakout room, you're going to share your name and your business name again because you might be in a room with somebody new. So you want to make sure you make that connection. And then we're going to celebrate our wins. What element of your business are you most proud of? You guys utilized every second of that breakout room. Like, that's awesome. That's really cool. So were you able to celebrate each other's wins and learn where each other's proud of, what they're proud of in their company? Pretty exciting. All right, I want to share this. So An initiative that we support at Nova Ridge and also in our family is called the Jessica Martell Memorial Foundation. And so for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it is a home for those fleeing domestic violence. Tim Hortons always does this I think it's always the last week of April or always around this time of year where they have their Smile Cookie Day. And so this week is Smile Cookie Day. The 10 Tim Hortons in Morinville and St. Albert, if you're in this area, are sponsoring the Jessica Martell Memorial Foundation. But this is just a reminder that, you know, if you have a minute, pop over to a Tim Hortons, grab a cookie, support the community initiative that the local Tim Hortons is supporting. And then I shared a picture. So I volunteer every year to make the cookies. And you can see my cookies in the corner. Can anybody notice the one difference between my cookie and the actual real cookie? the one that's supposed to be? Yeah, I made it with the wrong colors. So he has blue lips and pink eyes and not pink lips and blue eyes. So I'm volunteering again on Saturday. So hopefully I can get it right this year. So it's always been a joke, like with our team meetings, it's just always been a joke now that I messed it up. And I did trace of them the wrong color. All right, next session is June 6th. We have Katie Dooley from Paperline Creative and Caitlin Beekhouse from Sort and Simple. Excited to hear both of these ladies speak. This is the QR code. So if you want to scan that code, it'll take you right to the registration link for next month. And then I have created a private Facebook community where we are able to continue to grow together and learn together, connect and network outside of this monthly session. So if you're interested in connecting with other women in business, again, across Canada, please scan the QR code here and it will take you to join the Facebook group. That's all I have for today. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know it's 1:02. We made it 2 minutes past our normal time. So thank you for sticking on for a couple of minutes. Thank you to both of our speakers today, Janice and Crystal. Super valuable information. And we'll see you all again next month.